James J. Braddock was never meant to be the heavyweight world champion, but in 1936, that's exactly who he was. A year earlier, Max Baer was the champ, and he was a superstar. The Jewish phenom had already whooped the Nazi Max Schmeling, and then topped the almighty Italian Primo Carnera for the title. Naturally gifted with enough speed and strength to give any champion in history a hard time, he was destined for stardom. But that was his problem. As a born entertainer, he never quite took the game as seriously as perhaps he could have.
Lying lazily on the beach beside his brother, Baer makes sandcastles. What's the idea, Max?
This is my wrist, my hand.
Strengthens your wrist.
In his first defense, Baer's handlers were looking for an easy payday to get his championship reign rolling in style. That's when they made a terrible, terrible mistake. At the time, Braddock was a journeyman of the highest order. With his record of 51 wins, with 25 losses and 7 draws, he shouldn't have been in the title fight conversation. But he'd recently strung together a series of upset victories to make him seem like a half-decent challenger. Instead of being a pushover, though, he was the exact opposite. Baer hit him with some almighty shots, but Braddock walked through them all. Eventually, the champ's gas tank failed him, and against 10-to-1 odds, Braddock got the unanimous decision and the belt. Now coined the Cinderella Man for his fairy tale story, Braddock's first defense was supposed to be against the former champ from Germany, Max Schmeling, who had knocked out Joe Louis to become the #1 contender. But that's not how the story went. Initially, Braddock injured his hand in training, and the fight was postponed. Then the organizers got involved, and things got messy. Some say Braddock and Louis's teams had already been in negotiations for a big money fight, and they didn't want to risk losing that to Schmeling. Others say they feared that Schmeling would get the win and that the title would go back to Nazi Germany for good. In the end, though, it doesn't matter what anyone said. Braddock wanted a dance partner, and he wanted it to be Louis. Schmeling went home, and the Brown Bomber got to work.
And here's Joe Louis himself having a bit of fun with one of his 6 sparring partners, every one of whom knows that left of his as well as he knows his own name. Joe's a busy man these days. He's arranged another party with Jim Braddock, the present title holder.
By the way, Joe, I may be having an appointment with you sometime this summer or fall, or maybe in September, October. Okay by me.
It really was okay for Louis, because Louis knocked out the champ in the 8th round to finally become the heavyweight champion of the world. The thing was, Louis wasn't satisfied. With that one unavenged loss on his record, he still didn't feel like the belt was his. In his own words, Louis explained that, "I don't want to be called champ until I whip Max Schmeling." And the next year, Louis had his chance to do just that. It was 1938 when America's black world champion Joe Louis took on the man who had handed him his only defeat, Nazi Germany's Max Schmeling. It was to be called the fight of the century, and it was a prelude to war. Thanks for watching, and remember, if you want more fight sports in your life, just hit the subscribe button.